All right, we just got a shipment of 20 trees and I'm on my last tree. So I'm pretty tired if I seem low energy, but I wanted to show you guys how I plant these trees. So come on over here and let's go over a few things first. So this is the tree I'm gonna plant. It's a bare root apple tree. It's on a G11 rootstock, which is a dwarfing rootstock. And this one's a Williams Pride. A few things about the apple tree. This part right here, that is the rootstock, and then this is where it was grafted onto the rootstock. So we want to make sure that this part is all above ground, and then this part's underground. You don't want to put the dirt or mulch above that area. While you're preparing the site, you always want to have some sort of water here so that you can leave the roots in the water because it will die if it dries out. So let me show you the location here. I have a rake over here I'm gonna grab. So last fall we prepped the whole area for this season of planting, and each planting site is mounded with a mix of compost and topsoil. So you'll see when we dig in here what the soil looks like. One of the questions that people often have is, when I dig the hole for the tree, do I amend the hole with anything? Do I put compost in there? And you'll get conflicting advice on that. One line of thought is you really don't want to change the environment in the little hole, because the roots will try to stay in that small area and not search out for other nutrients, because it'll prefer the compost to, let's say, a clay soil. But we did something a little different. We put a couple yards of this compost topsoil mix for each tree, and so they don't even really need to go into the native soil. They can just stay right here. I just pulled back the mulch here. This is just a rough tree mulch that we get for free. And now the next step is to place your stake. This is super important. Don't try to place your stake after you've planted your tree. You'll break the roots. So let's go ahead and get our stake. So especially for apple trees, you definitely want to stake them. They have been known to break at the rootstock scion interface, so basically between where the rootstock is and the actual tree. And so I'm going to use these 8-foot T-posts here. All right, and if you don't have one of these, it makes it easy to put these T-posts in. All right, now that I've got the stake in, I'm gonna take my tree. I'm just gonna look here and see how I want it to lay out. So probably something like that. What I'm looking at here is I'm just looking at the roots and how they lay on the ground to decide where I need to dig my hole. So that looks like a pretty good spot there. Got some worms. They're upset about me putting that T-post in. So it's nice to have a tarp, or in this case I just have an old piece of cardboard. So that way you can put your soil here and it won't get all the mulch in it when you backfill. So I'll show you what the soil that we made looks like. Nice and easy to dig into, and rich and crumbly. I love it. I love dirt. All right, if we look down in here, I have a few things to look at. So here's our hole. we've got our roots. One of the things we see is these roots are starting to kind of curl around in the hole. We don't want them to start wrapping around each other. So what I like to do is find some of these roots like this one. Just going to give it a little home over here. So that one can go that way. And then let's give this one over this way. You just want to encourage the tree to kind of spread out to find nutrients in all the different locations. The other thing that we want to look at here is the depth of the planting. So the soil level's here and the depth is below that area where the tree was grafted. So if you were too deep, you'd need to backfill a little bit more soil and bring it up higher. All right, so one of the things I like to do before just filling this all in is I just take smaller amounts of soil and just kind of make sure they're getting underneath these roots. One of the things that can cause a tree to die is if you have a big air gap in there. So that looks pretty good. Look at all these nice worms in there. Healthy soil. All right, now that it's pretty much done, we can just pull the rest of it over. All right, another important step. We're gonna water it in really well, and then we're gonna push down to make sure we don't have any of those air gaps. You don't want to get too crazy here and break roots, but you need to push this down to make sure you don't have any gaps. Great. So I'm going to fertilize with a little Osmocote. This is a very, very slow release fertilizer. You don't want to put anything that's quickly releasing with the new roots. And I'm going to put just a little bit of this finer mulch here. And when we do the mulch again, you want to keep it away from that trunk. Shouldn't be riding up, especially not getting close to that grafting site. All right, we are going, we put a stake there, so we got to tie the tree. I like this kind of rubber chain here because you can adjust it very easily. And just one part around the tree. Needs to go just a little farther. So just one part around the tree, another part around the stake. Chain just sort of pulls through here. All right, last step. It's always kind of a tough one because you're cutting your new tree, but I'm going to make a cut here. The reason I'm doing that is I want to establish some branching coming pretty low off the tree, and by making this cut here, these buds down below from it will start branching. Now you can see why I'm tired. That was the 20th tree of the day. But definitely putting the energy and the work into doing it right will give these trees that should last decades a really good chance to get established and give us fruit for a long time to come. Happy gardening, everyone.